The Demon's Redemption Farm. Part 1, The Boy in the Tree. The town of Tiganaman, hugged by sand dunes and mountains, was so old that even the stones forgot their names. Here, 12-year-old Yacine lived in a house with blue-painted shutters and a rooftop that caught the evening breeze like a net. His world was small, just school, the souk, the dusty football field, and his grandfather's stories. But one summer afternoon, when the cicadas screamed and the air shimmered like glass, Yacine found something impossible. He had wandered farther than usual, chasing a runaway ball past the edge of the village, through the dying wheat fields, and into the cracked hills where an old Ottoman fort lay in ruins. Behind the broken stone walls stood an olive tree, gnarled, blackened by time, and somehow pulsing. He felt it before he saw it. The air warping, the faint sound of whispering wind where there was no breeze. And then, a crack. The tree split down the middle with a groan like grinding teeth, and from the jagged opening something tumbled out and hit the ground with a thud. Yacine froze. A creature, about his height, lay curled in the dust, skin dark as volcanic rock, eyes glowing crimson, tiny horns curling back from his forehead. His chest rose and fell, and smoke hissed from his nostrils. Yacine's heart tried to escape through his ribs. Demon, he gasped, stumbling back. The creature stirred, blinking sleepily. Ugh, what year is it? He groaned, rubbing his temple. Then he looked up and grinned, sharp teeth flashing. Whoa, a human kid! Yacine turned to run, but the creature leapt, farther than any boy should be able to, and landed in front of him. Hey, wait, the demon said. Don't scream. I just woke up. I'm not gonna eat you. You're a demon, Yacine repeated. Technically, yes, but I'm also starving. Got any sweets? Sweets? I just spent 200 years trapped in a tree. I deserve candy. That's how it started. Yacine, trembling and breathless, handed him the apricot bar from his pocket. The demon devoured it in one bite and grinned. Name's Diman. And you are? Yacine. Well, Yacine, Diman said, wiping his mouth. You're my first human friend in ever. Let's have some fun. Yacine wasn't sure what scared him more, the demon's fangs or the way his own heart fluttered with excitement. The Demon's Redemption, Part 2, The Demon with the Sweet Tooth. By the time the sun dipped behind the Atlas Mountains, casting gold across the rooftops, Yacine had already committed his first act of demon-assisted mischief. It began when Diman sniffed the air like a bloodhound. What's that smell? Honey? Dates? Something sticky. That's the Halwa stand, Yacine said, pointing toward the main square of Tiganaman. We're not allowed to touch anything without paying. Diman's eyes gleamed. You mean there are rules? Before Yacine could stop him, the little demon vanished in a blur of smoke and red sparkles, reappearing behind the cart like a living shadow. With sleight of hand worthy of a magician, Diman snatched a handful of honey-drenched Chabakia pastries and darted into the alley. The shopkeeper spun around, shouting curses into the empty street. Yacine's jaw dropped. He's going to chase us. Then we run, Diman laughed, shoving pastries into Yacine's arms. Rule number 1, never get caught. So they ran, through the alleys, over crates, past chickens and startled cats, laughing until their lungs ached. Diman was quick, but more than that, he could vanish into the shadows, drag Yacine with him, and reappear behind a different wall entirely. Magic? Yacine gasped, hands on his knees. Portal hopping, Diman said proudly. One of my talents. That and candy theft. After the chase, they collapsed on the rooftop of the old Ottoman fort. The sky above them turned indigo, stars slowly flickering to life. Yacine licked syrup from his fingers, torn between guilt and thrill. We shouldn't steal. Diman lay on his back, wings folded beneath him like a pillow. Humans stole this land from demons centuries ago. I'm just evening the score. You don't have to be like that, Yacine said softly. Diman glanced at him, a strange glint in his eyes. I'm a demon. It's in my blood. Doesn't mean it's in your heart. The demon stared at the stars for a long moment. You talk weird, Yacine. Silence settled between them. Then Yacine sat up. Why were you trapped in that tree? Diman flinched. Let's just say someone didn't like what I was becoming. Like what? Less of a monster, Diman said, voice low. More like me. Yacine didn't press. Instead, he offered Diman another piece of chabakia. The demon took it slowly this time, chewing as he looked out over the sleeping town. You know, Diman said, licking his claws, I could teach you some cool stuff. Like magic? Magic, hiding, fighting, things humans forgot when they stopped listening to the wind. Yacine felt something stir in his chest, curiosity, wonder, and a strange pull toward this chaotic, mischievous creature. Okay, he said, but no more stealing from Aunt Lala's stand. She's the only one who gives me free bread. Diman grinned. Deal, but you're still paying for the next pastry run. Great, I'll just sell my soccer ball. They laughed, and that night, under a blanket of stars and wild promises, a strange friendship was born between a boy chasing dreams and a demon chasing freedom. The Demon's Redemptions, Part 3. The Ottoman fort became their kingdom. By day, it was a crumbling memory of a bygone empire, walls half swallowed by sand, archways broken like teeth. But to Yacine and Diman, it was a castle, a hideout, a place where the world couldn't touch them. The old armory became their throne room. A buried well became a wishing pit, and inside a collapsed watchtower, they carved their names into stone. Diman added horns to his. Every afternoon after school, Yacine rushed to meet him. They sparred with wooden sticks, raced across the dunes, and traded stories. Yacine spoke of football dreams and comic book heroes. Diman whispered tales of the nether realm, of smoky cities, lava seas, and the Grand Maw where disobedient demons were thrown. You were born there? Yacine asked once. Birthed in shadow, raised in chaos, Diman replied. But I always felt different. Different how? I laughed at the wrong things. I helped a hurt mortal bird once. They called me broken. He shrugged. So they trapped me in that tree. Yacine's gut twisted. That's not broken. That's kind. Diman looked away. They made a game of mapping the town from the rooftops. Diman showed Yacine how to move silently, how to read the wind, and even how to make a tiny spark between his fingers. Just focus on the heat behind your heart, Diman said. Yacine practiced for days. One evening, his fingertips glowed red. I did it, Diman whooped. You're gonna be dangerous. But not everything was games. One morning, they found a trail of scorched earth behind the mosque, ashes shaped like footprints. A muezzin had fallen into a trance mid-call, muttering in tongues. The town chalked it up to heat stroke. Diman grew quiet. Was that you? Yacine asked. No, Diman said, but I felt it, something old, something from home. They followed the trail to the edge of town, but it vanished into the sand. That night, Yacine dreamed of smoke curling through his window, of whispers behind the walls. When he told Diman, the demon only said, we need to be careful. In the heart of their secret fort, Yacine noticed it for the first time. A dark crack running down the olive wood beam above their names. It hadn't been there before, and it was growing. The Demon's Redemptions, Part 4. Cracks in the mask, Diman's pranks changed. At first, they were harmless. Switching sugar with salt at the tea stand, turning a merchant's shoes into snakes. Harmless, giggling illusions. Hiding in grain sacks and making ghost sounds. The townspeople blamed Jinn, cursed the wind, and moved on. But now, things broke. A shepherd's tent caught at fire one morning, and though no one was hurt, the blaze spread too fast, too wide. Later, 3 children woke screaming from the same nightmare, of a laughing boy with red eyes chasing them through endless corridors. Yacine confronted him at the fort. Was that you? Diman tilted his head. What if it was? Yacine frowned. You said you wanted to be more than a monster. I said I felt different. That doesn't mean I get to be. His tone was sharper than usual, his eyes flickering. Diman, those kids are terrified. Diman scoffed. Fear is healthy, keeps humans sharp. That's not funny. You think being funny is why I was trapped in that tree? Diman snapped. You think your kind locked me away for knock-knock jokes? Yacine stepped back. The air between them shimmered with tension. I thought we were friends. We are, Diman muttered, the fire in his voice cooling to embers. But don't ask me to be something I'm not. Yacine clenched his fists. I'm not. I'm asking you to be more than they expect. Silence stretched. Then Diman turned and vanished into smoke. Yacine didn't see him for 2 days. During that time, the town held a prayer circle. Someone found black feathers under the school's olive tree. Rumors of a cursed child spread. On the third night, Yacine returned to the fort and found Diman sitting in the shadows, chewing a pomegranate and staring into the well. I'm trying, he said quietly, but every time I close my eyes, I see home, and I hear it calling me back. Yacine sat beside him. You don't have to go back. I might not have a choice. They stayed like that, side by side in silence. Above them, the stars blinked like watchful eyes. Beneath them, the crack in the olive beam widened, silent, splitting through their carved names. The Demon's Redemption, Part 5, The Night of Screams. It began with barking dogs and flickering lights. The power died just after the last call to prayer. The whole town plunged into a heavy, unnatural darkness. Even the moon hid behind clouds. Yacine's house felt colder than it should, and his parents lit candles nervously. Then came the screaming. It echoed down the streets, rippling through windows. Doors slammed. A wind kicked up, hot and dry, filled with sand and the scent of burnt sugar. Yacine didn't hesitate. He grabbed his hoodie and slipped out the back door. The streets were chaos. Shadows slithered where there should be none. A child stood frozen mid-step, eyes rolled back. A goat convulsed in a pen. Dust spiraled in unnatural shapes. Yacine ran to the fort. He found Diman standing atop the tower, eyes blazing, smoke rising from his shoulders. Below, a group of terrified townspeople were gathered in the square, held in place by invisible force. What are you doing? Yacine shouted. Diman didn't answer. Diman! Finally, the demon turned. His face was twisted, not in anger but in pain. I didn't summon it, he yelled. It's not me. From the corner of Yacine's eye, he saw it, something crawling out from the earth near the olive tree in the square. Not human, not demon, a wraith, cloaked in rags with a gaping mouth full of teeth and a body made of ash and shadow. Diman leapt from the tower, hitting the ground in a burst of flame. He lunged at the creature, claws flashing. They clashed, screaming and hissing, red fire against black mist. Yacine ran forward, grabbing a stick from the ground. Useless, but it made him feel braver. The creature shrieked and recoiled as Diman drove it back, shouting ancient words Yacine didn't understand. Finally, it crumbled into black sand. Silence fell. The crowd slowly unfroze. Some wept, others fled. No one saw Diman vanish into the smoke, only Yacine. He found him in the fort hours later, curled up, shaking. I didn't summon it, Diman whispered again. But it came for me. It knew my name. And somewhere deep in the earth, something else opened its eyes. The Demon's Redemption, Part 6, Ash and Anger. Diman didn't speak for days. He wandered the fort in silence, fingers leaving trails of soot across the stone walls. Yacine watched helplessly as his friend drifted, haunted, exhausted, and increasingly unpredictable. One afternoon, Yacine found him crouched in the well chamber, muttering to himself. They're coming. I heard them in the dream. Footsteps, horns, sand full of teeth. Yacine knelt beside him. What does it mean? Diman's red eyes locked onto his. It means I don't belong here. I never did. You're my friend, Yacine said, grabbing his arm. You belong with me. But Diman shook him off. No, that's not enough. That night, the butcher's shop burned to the ground. No one saw who lit the flame, but whispers spread like wildfire. It's the demon, someone hissed. The boy with the red eyes. Mothers began pulling their children close when Yacine passed. Men clutched prayer beads tighter. The town was afraid. Yacine returned to the fort in a fury. He slammed his fists on the floor. What are you doing, Diman? They're turning on me now. Diman leaned against the cracked olive beam. Let them. No, Yacine shouted. You're making it worse. I'm trying to help you, but you're slipping and I don't know how to hold on. Diman's voice grew cold, then maybe let go. The words cut deep. Yacine stood there, fist clenched, heart pounding. You're not just a demon, he said through clenched teeth. You're the one who helped me save that little girl from drowning. The one who brought my grandpa dates when he was sick. Don't pretend that wasn't real. Diman didn't answer. Fine, Yacine said. If you won't fight for yourself, I will. He turned and walked out, but as he did, he didn't see the small ember flickering at Diman's feet, an ember shaped like a tear. The Demon's Redemption, Part 7. Whispers in the smoke. A week passed. Yacine went about his days alone. He no longer met Diman at the fort. He stopped talking to the other kids, who now looked at him with suspicion or pity. Only his grandfather said nothing, just watched him quietly, like he knew a storm was brewing. The olive tree in the town square started to wither. Its leaves curled and its bark darkened like coal. Birds avoided it. Some mornings the townspeople found ash at its roots, tiny handprints scattered in the dust. At night, Yacine heard scratching at his window. Not claws, but whispers. They spoke in a voice like crackling fire. He is mine. He tried to ignore it, buried himself in books and school and chores. But it followed him, at the souk, in dreams, even during prayers. A presence, watching, waiting. One night, unable to bear it any longer, Yacine returned to the fort. Diman wasn't there. Only the olive beam remained, and the crack had spread through their carved names completely. Yacine touched the wood and gasped. It was hot. Diman, he shouted. I'm sorry. Come back, please. Smoke swirled, and from the shadows, Diman stepped out. Eyes darker than before, horns longer, wings twitching. Why did you come? Because I'm scared, Yacine admitted. Not of you, of what's coming. Diman said nothing. I had a dream, Yacine whispered. A voice said you'd betray me. Diman flinched. Was it right? I don't know anymore, Diman replied. There's a pull, like gravity. I feel it in my bones, a command from someone I tried to forget. Then fight it, Yacine begged. Diman turned to him, voice trembling. He's coming. Malik, the one who commands shadows. Who is he? Diman's wings unfolded. My brother. The Demon's Redemption, Part 8. The mark of fire. Yacine dreamed of fire. It swept through the town like a tide, swallowing doors, melting rooftops. Diman stood in the center, expressionless, as Malik emerged from the smoke. Twice as tall, clad in obsidian armor, with a crown of bone and a voice like a drumbeat. Your friend cannot save you. Yacine awoke gasping, drenched in sweat. The room was dark, but his right palm glowed faintly, embers dancing beneath the skin like trapped lightning. He rushed to his grandfather's room. The old man was awake, sitting on the floor with his prayer beads. You saw him, didn't you? Yacine blinked. Who? The Shadow General, Malik. I saw him in dreams too, long ago, before your father was born. You knew about all this? I know the stories, about the Olive Gate, about the first demons who came through it during the old wars. He placed a hand on Yacine's. Your mark, it means Diman gave you part of himself. Yacine's voice cracked. Why me? Because he saw something in you that he wished he saw in himself. Yacine stared at his hand. The glow faded. At school, he couldn't focus. The wind outside howled all day. A window shattered without warning. The teacher clutched her head mid-lesson and whispered Malik's name. That night, Yacine returned to the fort. Diman was waiting. He's close, Diman said. I can feel the sand boiling. Yacine showed him his palm. This mark, what is it? Diman looked surprised. You're carrying my flame. I didn't mean to give it yet. Yet? Diman nodded slowly. When a demon his last breath becomes an ember. I gave you mine too early. Why? Because I was afraid I wouldn't get another chance. For the first time in days, they sat beside each other again. We have to fight him, Yacine said. We? Diman asked, voice small. Yes, we. The Demon's Redemption, Part 9. The Sandstorm Messenger. It struck at dawn. A sandstorm unlike any the town had seen in decades rolled over the desert like a living wall. The sky turned blood orange, air grew thick and hard to breathe. Wind howled like wolves. Yacine covered his mouth and ran toward the square. People screamed, animals broke free from pens, and old buildings cracked under the pressure. Then the sky split open. A column of black flame erupted from the center of the olive tree. From within it stepped a figure, tall, regal, cloaked in living shadows. His horns curled like crowns, and his eyes were pits of night. Malik. The crowd fell to their knees, some in fear, some in unconsciousness. Yacine stood frozen. Malik didn't speak. He simply raised one hand. The olive tree shattered. Roots tore from the ground, flinging soil and stone into the air. A scream echoed from the depths, like 1,000 souls crying out. Then Malik spoke. Diman, come forth. Smoke swirled. Diman appeared beside Yacine, eyes narrowed. You came, Malik said almost fondly. My little brother, always the soft one. I'm not yours, Diman hissed. Malik smiled. Then why do I feel your blood burning for me? He raised his arm again, and fire exploded across the square. Yacine grabbed Diman's hand and pulled him away, barely dodging a blast. They ran, ducked behind an overturned cart. Malik floated above the case, a god descending. You cannot run from fate, little demon, Malik roared. You were born to kneel, not stand. Diman's hand trembled in Yacine's. I won't let you go back to him, Yacine whispered. Diman didn't answer. The Demon's Redemption, Part 10. Blood on the Sand. The town became a battlefield. Malik's fire spread through the alleys like a living creature, hunting souls. Shadows stretched and twisted, grabbing at anyone they touched. Yacine's parents ran toward the mosque, only to be cut off by a wall of smoke. Yacine screamed their names. Diman grabbed his shoulder. We have to split up. No. I'll draw him away. You go to your parents, protect them. Diman, trust me. He vanished in a flash of red light. Yacine sprinted through the smoke, calling for his parents. He found them near the bakery, cornered by a tendril of shadow. The mark on his hand blazed. He raised his palm and, without knowing how, summoned a wall of flame that cut the shadow in half. His parents stared. Later, he wouldn't remember how he got them to safety. Just the blur of panic, the roar of fire, the cries of his name. Meanwhile, in the square, Diman faced Malik alone. You're stronger than you look, Malik said, circling him, but still soft, still clinging to humans. I've seen more honor in a 12-year-old boy than in every demon in your court. Malik laughed. Then you'll die with them. The fight exploded. Claw against sword, fire against darkness. The ground cracked. The sky wept ash. And Yacine, watching from a rooftop, realized this was only the beginning. The Demon's Redemption. Part 11, The Last Olive Tree. The battle left a scar across Tiganamine. By morning, the square was unrecognizable. Stones cracked, walls blackened. The old olive tree reduced to a ring of smoldering roots. Nothing remained of its ancient bark but splinters and ash. Yet the crack remained, invisible to most, but Yacine saw it, a thin shimmer in the air where the tree once stood. A gate, a tear between worlds, and it pulsed. Diman limped toward it, bruised and burned. One horn was cracked, his breath came in gasps. Yacine rushed to him. You're hurt. Not enough, Diman growled. He's not done. That was a test. Then we have to seal it, Yacine said. The gate. Diman's eyes flickered. We can't. Not without the root fire. What's that? Diman looked away. The original seed that opened this portal centuries ago. It binds our worlds. Someone buried it here, under the olive tree. Malik wants it back. Then we have to find it first. Diman hesitated. If we do, and I touch it, I might change. Yacine's voice was firm. I'll stop you, just like you stopped him. That day they returned to the ruins of the fort. Together they searched the old chambers, following symbols burned into the stone. Runes Diman could read, glowing faintly in his presence. They led to the heart of the fortress, beneath the collapsed tower. There, beneath centuries of dust, they uncovered it. A box carved from demon bone, sealed with melted silver. It pulsed with a slow, living warmth. Inside, wrapped in ancient cloth, lay the root fire, a seed of glowing ember, pulsing like a heart. Yacine's hand trembled. So small. Diman stared at it like it might bite him. That thing can open every door. or close them all. Thunder rolled in the distance. The desert wind turned cold. Suddenly, the box snapped shut on its own. The rune lights vanished. Diman's face darkened. He knows we have it. Then we prepare, Yacine said. Diman blinked. You're not scared? I'm terrified. Yacine replied, but you gave me your fire. Now I give you my courage. And deep beneath the fort, the ember pulsed faster, as if awakening to something ancient and new. The Demon's Redemption, Part 12. Brothers in shadow, the night Diman touched the root fire, something inside him split. He hadn't meant to. It happened in a moment of stillness, when Yacine had fallen asleep, curled beside the fire in the old fort. Diman sat alone, cradling the bone-carved box. The seed pulsed within it, humming with warmth. Just a peek, he told himself. He opened the lid. The ember flared, and a voice whispered in his mind. Smooth, deep, inevitable. You were born from me, little brother. Why do you run from your blood? Diman's hands trembled. I'm not yours. You carry my fire in your veins. The voice grew louder. Images burst behind his eyes, memories not his own. War, screams, mountains split by flame. The old demon course, cloaked in ash. Malek standing tall, surrounded by kneeling legions. And Diman, younger, laughing with him. Proud, loyal. Then the punishment, the exile, the tree. He staggered back, panting. Yacine woke with a start. What happened? Diman turned away. Nothing. But shadows danced more wildly that night. The next day, the sky over Tighanamine darkened before noon. Thunder cracked without clouds. The old well bubbled with heat, and a flock of birds crashed mid-flight. Every one of them burned from within. Yacine gripped Diman's arm. He's getting closer. Diman didn't meet his eyes. He's already here. Malik arrived that evening. He didn't burn the sky this time. He walked, casually, down the main road, flanked by two wraiths with hollow eyes. Townspeople scattered. He stopped at the mosque and placed a single obsidian coin on the steps. For the soul of this place, he said, voice echoing through stone. Then he turned to the air where Diman and Yacine stood atop the rooftops, watching. Come, brother, Malik called. No more games. Yacine stepped forward, but Diman stopped him. His eyes were strange, brighter, wilder. I remember everything now, Diman whispered. He was my world once. Diman. I served him. I loved him, until I started dreaming of mercy. Yacine grabbed his hand. You're not that demon anymore. Diman squeezed back. Then help me prove it. He leapt from the rooftop, landing in front of Malik. Take your coin, Diman growled. My soul is not for sale. Malik smiled. So be it. The wraiths attacked. The Demon's Redemption. Part 13, The Choice. The wraiths moved like smoke and bone, no feet, no sound. Just blur and teeth and shadow. Yacine leapt down to stand beside Diman, his marked hand glowing bright crimson. Back to back? He asked, breath sharp. Always, Diman said. The first wraith lunged. Diman ducked, spun, and drove a claw upward through its chest. The creature shrieked, cracked like glass, and crumbled into ash. The second reached for Yacine. He raised his palm and released a wave of flame that sent it tumbling into a wall, screaming as it dissolved. Silence. Malik clapped slowly. So dramatic. I remember when you used to cry during lightning storms, Diman. Things change, Diman replied. Malik stepped forward. Do they? His voice turned gentle, almost coaxing. I felt your fire flare last night. I know you touched the root fire, and I know what it showed you. Diman tensed. Those memories of who you were, of who we were, those are real. They live in your blood. You don't need to run anymore. I forgive you. Yacine shouted, he doesn't want your forgiveness. But Malik ignored him. Come with me. I can teach you how to control your flame fully. You're wasting your power protecting these ants. Diman didn't move. His breath was slow, deep, a storm brewing inside him. I saw what you made me, he said softly. What I became under you. Malik smiled. You were magnificent. No, Diman growled. I was hollow. He stepped back toward Yacine. I have a friend now. He reminds me that fire can warm, not just burn. Malik's face hardened. Then you'll burn with them. He raised a hand, and from the sky, a lance of shadow lightning struck. Yacine tackled Diman just in time, the bolt hitting the ground where they'd stood. Diman shouted, "Run!" Yacine refused. "We fight together." Malik unleashed another wave of darkness. The boys were flung back. Dust and flame exploded in every direction. Diman rose slowly, blood trickling from his lip, wings trembling. Malik descended. "You'll regret this, brother." Diman, shaking, smiled. "Maybe, but I'll regret it as me." And for the first time, his body ignited. Not in rage, but in defiance. A fire of golden red, pure and clean. The ground beneath him glowed. Malik paused. The root fire inside Diman had awakened. The Demon's Redemption, Part 14, Inferno. The earth cracked beneath Diman's feet. Golden red fire roared from his body, hotter than any flame Yacine had ever seen, but not wild. It shimmered like sunlight, not chaos. The root fire pulsed through Diman's veins, illuminating every shadow in the square. Malik staggered back, shielding his eyes. Impossible. Diman's wings unfurled fully for the first time, no longer the smoke-ridden limbs of a shadow dweller, but blazing embers shaped like crescent moons. His cracked horn repaired itself in a flash of molten light. "I'm not yours anymore," Diman said. His voice echoed across the rooftops. Yacine stood beside him, the mark on his palm glowing in resonance. The ember Diman had gifted him burned brighter, sinking with the power now unleashed. Malik growled, "You think friendship makes you strong? You think this boy can save you from who you truly are?" Diman didn't answer. He charged. The square erupted in a storm of fire and shadow. Diman met Malik head-on, claws glowing, fangs bared. They collided mid-air, one a column of sunlight and fury, the other a vortex of smoke and bone. The shock wave shattered windows across the town. Villagers cowered in their homes as fire and shadow danced across the sky. Yacine ducked behind a broken fountain, trying to keep sight of them. He could barely breathe. Every flare of Diman's energy made his mark throb with heat. Diman fought like one reborn. Every strike he threw crackled with root fire. He moved faster, hit harder. Malik grunted, pushed back, then retaliated with a whip of dark matter that sliced a rooftop in half. Diman dodged, spun midair, and slammed into Malik's chest with a blast of heat so strong it melted the cobblestones below. Malik screamed, but he wasn't done. With a roar, the demon warlord shed his armor. Wings of pure darkness unfurled from his back, easily 3 times Diman's size. His form twisted, grew, massive, monstrous, with a crown of horns and eyes like burning wells. The sky went black. "Diman!" Yacine cried. "Don't let him!" But Malik struck. A hammer blow of shadow hit Diman mid-flight, sending him crashing into the remains of the olive tree stump. The earth groaned. Smoke poured from the crater. Yacine ran. Malik turned toward him. "So, this is the child who softened my brother." Yacine stood tall, even as fear clawed his gut. "I didn't soften him. I reminded him he had a heart." Malik raised his hand, and Yacine's body lifted from the ground, caught in invisible claws. "Let's see how strong your heart really is," Malik sneered. Then a flash. Diman launched from the crater, cloaked in golden flame, and slammed into Malik with such force it lit up the sky like a second sun. Yacine fell to the ground, coughing, as both demons tumbled into the air in a whirlwind of fire and black lightning. This was no longer just a fight. It was war. The Demon's Redemption. Part 15, The Breaking Point. Flames and shadows tore through the sky as Diman and Malik clashed like twin storms. Each strike sent tremors through the town's foundations. Yacine lay on the cracked stone, coughing ash and dust, his heart pounding like thunder. Diman roared, wings spread wide, pushing Malik back with blasts of pure, searing light. But Malik was relentless. His shadowy tendrils coiled around Diman, squeezing, trying to snuff out the fire. "Give in, brother," Malik shouted. "You can't win against your own blood." Diman's eyes blazed brighter. "I'm not your pawn anymore." With a final burst, Diman shattered the shadowy grip, sending Malik spiraling into a ruined archway. He moved toward Yacine, battered and bleeding but alive. "Go," Diman gasped. "Protect the town." "No," Yacine said, crawling toward him. "We fight together." Malik's laughter echoed. "Fools." From the shadows, Malik summoned a horde of wraiths, ghastly shapes writhing with hunger. Diman struggled to stand, clutching Yacine's arm. "We can't hold them alone." Yacine's mark flared wildly. "Then we use what we have." He closed his eyes and focused, feeling the ember's warmth spread through his veins. Flames erupted from his palms, carving a fiery barrier between them and the wraiths. Diman smiled weakly. "You're stronger than I imagined." Together, they pushed back the darkness. The wraiths screamed and dissolved in the flames, but Malik, furious, unleashed a final devastating attack, a wave of pure shadow sweeping toward them like a tidal wave. Diman stepped in front of Yacine, wings flaring as he absorbed the blast. The light around him flickered and dimmed. "Diman!" Yacine cried, grabbing his shoulder. The demon's eyes met his, filled with pain but fierce determination. "This is for you," Diman whispered. "For the friend who showed me light." With one last roar, Diman exploded in a blinding inferno. When the flames died, only Yacine remained, standing alone amid the silence and ruin. The Demon's Redemption, Part 16, Ashes and Awakening. The smoke cleared. Where Diman had stood, only a glowing ember remained, small but fiercely bright. Yacine knelt, tears burning his cheeks as he cupped it in his hands. "Diman," he whispered, "you're gone." The town lay silent, scarred by fire and shadow. The olive tree was nothing but ash, and the gates between worlds trembled on the edge of closing or breaking forever. Yacine's mark glowed stronger than ever. The ember Diman gave him pulsed in time with his heartbeat. His grandfather found him there, sitting among the rubble. "Your friend was brave," the old man said quietly. "But now the burden is yours." Yacine nodded. "I don't know if I'm ready." "You don't have to be. You just have to be willing." That night, under the cracked stars, Yacine dreamed again, this time of Diman's voice. "The fire is yours now. Use it well." He woke to find his hands glowing softly. Flames flickered over his fingertips, warm but controlled. The town began to heal slowly. Neighbors cleaned burnt homes. Children played among the ruins, still wary but hopeful. Yacine walked the streets, feeling the embers power hum beneath his skin. He knew Malik was still out there, waiting, watching. But Yacine had a new purpose now. He was no longer just a boy. He was the guardian. The Demon's Redemption. Part 17, The Guardian's Burden. Days turned into weeks. Teganamine buzzed with cautious hope. The market reopened, laughter returned to the streets, and the scent of fresh bread mingled with warm desert air. But beneath the surface, tension simmered, like the last flickers of a dying flame. Yacine trained relentlessly. His fingers sparked with fire at will. His eyes could pierce shadows, sensing evil lurking just beyond sight. His grandfather guided him, teaching ancient prayers and protective rituals passed down through generations. "You carry more than flame," the old man said. "You carry hope." But the mark branded on Yacine's palm was a constant reminder of the Bada. Some nights he woke drenched in sweat, haunted by the memory of Diman's last roar. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the Atlas, a shadow stirred in the marketplace. A stranger cloaked in dust and darkness slipped through the crowd, eyes like burning coals. Yacine felt the ember pulse fiercely. He followed silently, heart pounding. The stranger stopped beneath the olive tree's shattered remains and raised a hand. From the ground, black roots twisted upward, growing fast, snaking toward the sky like grasping fingers. Yacine stepped forward, flames erupting around him. The stranger smiled. "So, the guardian rises. You won't harm this town." The stranger laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Malik's patience wears thin. Soon the desert will burn again." Yacine's grip tightened. "I'm ready." The Demon's Redemption. Part 18, Roots of Darkness. The black roots writhed like serpents, twisting up the broken olive tree stump, spreading poison into the earth. The marketplace's cobblestones cracked and buckled beneath their grasp. Yacine's flames roared higher, a blazing barrier between the stranger and the terrified townspeople. "Who are you?" Yacine demanded, stepping forward. The stranger pulled back his hood, revealing a scarred face and eyes burning with ancient malice. "I am Azrak, Malik's messenger," he said coldly. "I bring a warning and a choice." "Your warning means nothing," Yacine said, fire flaring. Azrak smiled darkly. "Malik is patient no longer. Soon the gates between worlds will shatter. Darkness will flood your world. Your friend's sacrifice was only the beginning." Yacine clenched his fists. "I won't let that happen." Azrak laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the square. "Then you will fall. But I offer you this. Join us and survive the coming storm." Yacine spat on the ground. "I choose to fight." With a scream, Azrak raised his hands, and the black roots exploded into a mass of writhing shadows. Yacine met them with a wave of flame that carved through the darkness. The battle was fierce, fire against shadow, hope against despair. The townspeople watched from behind shuttered windows, whispering prayers. As the fight raged, Yacine felt the ember in his palm burn hotter, awakening new strength. He realized this was only the beginning of a war that would test every part of him. The Demon's Redemption, Part 19, Flames of Destiny. Yacine's flames roared louder than ever, swirling around him like a protective storm. Every strike against Azrak's shadowy tendrils sent sparks flying, lighting up the darkened marketplace. He moved with fierce determination, remembering Diman's sacrifice and the promise they'd made. "Your master's shadow won't claim this town," Yacine shouted, voice steady despite the burning fatigue in his limbs. Azrak sneered, eyes blazing with fury. "You are a child playing with fire. Soon you will be consumed." But Yacine felt something new, a surge of power, deeper and stronger than before. The ember in his palm flared, sending waves of warmth through his entire body. He closed his eyes and summoned the fire within, shaping it into a blazing phoenix that soared above the rooftops, its cries echoing like a battle horn. The townspeople gasped, hope igniting in their eyes. Azrak faltered, shielding himself from the dazzling light. With a final mighty roar, Yacine unleashed a torrent of flames that tore through the shadows, scattering them like dust. Azrak screamed in defeat, dissolving into smoke and ash. The skies cleared, stars twinkling brighter than ever. But Yacine knew this victory was only the start. Malik's war was far from over, and he would need every ounce of fire and courage to face what came next. The Demon's Redemption, Part 20, The Guardian's Legacy. The dawn broke soft over Teganamine, washing the town in golden light. The scars of battle remained, charred walls, shattered windows, the broken stump of the ancient olive tree. But the air felt lighter, as if the desert itself was holding its breath. Yacine stood on the hill overlooking the town, the ember glowing faintly on his palm, now a permanent mark. He remembered Diman's words, his fiery sacrifice, and the friendship that changed everything. The people of the town began to emerge, cautious but hopeful. Children played under the open sky, elders whispered prayers of thanks, and merchants reopened their stalls. Yacine's grandfather approached, eyes filled with pride. "You have done what many could not. You are the guardian now." Yacine nodded solemnly. "But Malik and his darkness are still out there. I don't know what's coming next." His grandfather smiled. "The fire inside you is stronger than any shadow, and you will never be alone." As the sun climbed higher, a gentle breeze stirred the air. From the broken olive tree stump, a faint laugh echoes, soft, mischievous, and warm. Yacine smiled. "Thank you, Diman." With the strength of friendship and fire burning in his heart, Yacine vowed to protect his town and the world beyond, because the greatest power of all is the choice to stand for what is right, and his journey had only just begun.